as we do that, I would like to do the introduction for today's session. This is Small Business Money Program 2023. This is a program we run once a year. It's a 6-week program with various topics, and today's session is our 5th session. Our last session will be next week on Wednesday, same time. You use the same link. So record and bookkeeping with the experts from Zoho. They will tell us and train us and share insights on record and bookkeeping. They will respond to our questions, and they'll also share their solutions to small businesses like ourselves. Bookkeeping helps small businesses to increase turnover, save on cost, and also make it easy for you to access financing. These are some of the discussions we'll have. They've also noted your questions. This is the order of our session. We've done the small business pitches with 5 entrepreneurs. We had Bernard, we had Asha, Thomas, Gaha, and Liz, and they had an opportunity to ask a question to the facilitators. So every session will be giving an opportunity to 5 businesses. These are our key industries that were represented by the entrepreneurs. We have one more session. Small Business Money Program is a 6-week program with 6 sessions. So our today's session is the 5th one, and next week will be our last session, and we'll be discussing about managing finances as a small business. This is a session everyone must attend. We'll also invite the speakers who have been with us for the other sessions to attend, and some of you have been asking questions which they will respond to. So those who are available will also be joining us next week on Wednesday as we discuss managing finances as a small business. We'll also have a guest speaker talking to us as we close the Small Business Money Program. And a number of you have been asking for the recordings. The recordings have been shared both on email and WhatsApp for the last 4 sessions. And after today's session, we'll still share our today's session. You can check from our YouTube channel. You just search Biashara Africa, you'll see them. If you don't get them, just WhatsApp us, and we'll be happy to share the links to the recordings. Now, next week on Wednesday, as we close the Small Business Money Program, we'll also be announcing the top 50 finalists for the Small Business Awards 2023. So, and I must congratulate the 500 plus applicants who are bold enough to share their experiences, how they're impacting the communities and the environment. So we will announce the top 50 finalists. And then on 29th September, we'll be celebrating small business winners. So we'll have the Small Business Awards ceremony. We'll take the whole morning. We want to start early, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we'll be announcing the winners. You'll get a special invitation. All of you who are in our database, you will get an invitation. Most of you have been requesting that we redo the financing session. And courtesy of some of our partners, we will be happy to combine that with the Small Business Award ceremony. So we'll talk about the financing options. You've asked about the loans, the grants, equity, among other financing options. So we'll have a masterclass, and that's why we are starting early. So we'll start with a masterclass. We'll also invite providers of loans, grants to be with us. And so you will have an opportunity to interact with them during the session. And then after that, we'll then have the award ceremony and then a networking session so that it also benefits you. So mark your calendars, 29th of September, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll be sharing more details on that. We keep having more opportunities. Please check our website, connect with us on social media platforms so that you get quick updates and you're supported. This is one of the opportunities we've listed on the website. We have the Nairobi International Trade Fair coming up on 25th September to 5th of October. We would like as many of our entrepreneurs to participate on this, and we have the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, who will have a pavilion. They will have an exhibition area, and they are inviting us to apply for this. We put the link on the website. I'll also be sharing it on the chat. And I would encourage many of you to apply for this. It's free if you're picked to exhibit, and you'll be under their pavilion, which will be good for you, and you have the opportunity to interact with the participating individuals and organizations at the International Trade Fair. Please apply by 10th of September to be considered. They're giving consideration to people with Made in Kenya. But even if you don't have that, just apply. We also have an opportunity for you to apply for Made in Kenya. It's also on our website under the events page. Please apply for that, and we are happy also to support you to get that. Now, this is our today's discussion. Excited, you've been asking us a lot of questions around record and bookkeeping. And we will now have the Zoho team talk to us about what is record and bookkeeping, how can we do it efficiently, what are the benefits of the same, and keep asking your questions on the chat. And now I want to invite Vera to take it from here. Welcome, Vera.
Thank you very much. I'll be standing in for Vera in this session. My name is Alvin Juguna. I focus on the finance and finance product for Zoho. Allow me to share my screen so that I can take you through the presentation. Kindly let me know if it is visible.
Yes, it is. Maybe you could put it in full screen or slideshow. Yes, perfect. We are good.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm glad to hear there's so many entrepreneurs out there who are looking for, of course, record and bookkeeping solutions. I will use the guidelines of the program, which mainly focused on in the initial stages, this being the manual record keeping. And then at the end of the slideshow, we are going to transition, of course, to the digital record keeping, whereby I'm going to give you a glimpse or a snapshot of what products that we have specifically for SMEs, and also the benefits of the products that we have within the Zoho suite. All right. So the first question was, how do I do bookkeeping without a software? All right. As I have heard, most of you, of course, want to move from this, but of course, there's some of us who cannot maybe afford to onboard a software. But the bookkeeping and record keeping is a very simple affair. You don't have to complicate it. Yeah, it is done basically using the different books of accounts. First, you should keep, of course, a record of your debtors. These are people who owe you money, and of course, you should record any sale that you make within the debtors ledger. The second ledger you should maintain is suppliers. These are people who you owe money or you get services from. All right. So these are ledgers. They can be in form of an Excel worksheet. They can be in form of an exercise book. So it doesn't have to be a very hi-fi system. All you need is a few columns that show basically the customer name, the transaction description, and the amount. So it doesn't have to be a very technical or a very complex service, because given that most of us, of course, may not have that particular accounting background. Okay. So breaking down to the ledgers, the debtors ledger records all your sales transactions, this being any sales, both cash as well as credit sales. Credit sales are people who have taken your service on a credit basis and they have not paid you in advance. Cash sales are obviously the ones you have received money internally. So they should be recorded in a ledger somewhere, or they should be recorded in an Excel worksheet so that you can be able to have a record of how much money is going out, is spending out there, and how much of your money needs to be collected by you. All right. So any returns as well as any receipts should also be recorded in the system, so that in case a customer comes back and requests, of course, to know how much they owe you, you can be able to have that record somewhere. All right. We also have a supplier's ledger, where you record all purchase-related transactions. Of course, this will impact if you are a business that maintains stock. It will impact your stocks, because you will be able to know how much you owe to your suppliers based on the invoices or based on the services that they offer you in your ledger. Another book that you maintain is basically the cash book, whereby you maintain any income or any receipts or any payments that are made out from your organization. This can be any payments that come from M-Pesa, any payments that come from your bank, any checks that you write should be recorded in the cash book in order to maintain a record of how much float or how much your bank book balance is. It may not be accurate because, of course, in the bank, there are transactions that are passed that you will get at the end of the month, but at least you will have a rough idea of how much of how much you owe, of how much you have in your bank account. All right. A very important ledger to maintain is also the inventory or stocks ledger. This basically maintains the stocks that are coming in and the stocks that are going out in your organization. All right. Stocks is an asset. Therefore, you should look at stocks as basically money that you have, an asset that you have within the company. And this asset, of course, can be used in terms of company valuation to know how much your company is worth. And they can also be used as a facilitator, as Biashara Africa said, in order to acquire things like loans based on the inventory that you have. All right. So based on this slide and based on this question, I would like to open up the floor. Are there any questions that you have, or any issues or any scenarios that you'd like me to tackle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kindly, I'm Jacqueline from Kisumu County. Kindly tell me what is the audited accounts book? Huh?
Okay. Audited accounts are accounts that have been certified by an auditor.
Go ahead and ask your question, or you could put your question on the chat. I will read them out.
Okay. Okay. All right. Do I answer that, or?
Yeah, it's okay. You can take the questions. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand just to make it easier, or you could put your question on the chat. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So audited accounts basically are accounts that give a true and fair value picture of your business. These are prepared by a certified auditor or prepared by an accountant and certified by a registered auditor. What that means is that your accounts have been certified and they have been looked at and they have been properly verified by an audit firm or an individual who holds an audit license. So these accounts can be presented to the bank and they can be presented to your shareholders if you have any, so as to certify the true financial position of your company, a listing of all your assets, as well as basically the profits or the losses that you have made within the audited financial period. This being from the beginning of your financial year to the end of your financial year. So maybe putting it in lay terms, it is a true and fair value picture of your business position at any given time that has been audited, that has been looked at and confirmed by an audit firm or an individual who holds an audit license. Thank you very much.
Alvin, I have another question here. For people who are starting, where do they get these books? Someone who want to start, where do they get these different books of accounts?
Okay.
And then there's also a question on people who receive payments, cash payments, and M-Pesa payments. How then they record that as well? So maybe you could address those questions.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, the books of accounts are available in any bookshop. If you ask for a ledger book, you'll be able to be given a ledger book. Of course, if you're not an accountant, we don't advise you to get the ledger book. A simple exercise book will do, with a set of columns, of course, that show, of course, the date of the transaction, that show the customer name, that show the amount. So basically, any exercise book can be able to be used as a ledger, so to speak, because a ledger is basically a record of all transactions that have happened in the company. We may not go as far as defining what a debit and what a credit is, but at least that will give you a position. A simple exercise book will be able to, you will be able to record those transactions, or if you have a computer, you can be able to record them in an Excel worksheet. All right. So before you go digital, you can just maintain a simple exercise book. In terms of the people who receive cash from M-Pesa, you can buy a simple receipt book from a bookshop, whereby you can record all the receipts that come into the company on that particular receipt book. At any given time, you can be able, of course, to calculate or key or add up all the receipts that have been brought in based on that particular receipt book. So all these books are available in any bookshop or any bookshop or any stationery shop. You can be able to find these books of accounts. Okay.
So I have a question from Thomas. He is asked, at what level do you need to audit your book or firm?
Okay. All right. Obviously, you need to audit from the beginning. That is there is no time to start. You need to audit, of course, if you have run for a year or more. And the reason you audit your books is so that you can be able to get things like, of course, your corporate tax computations. You can also be able to audit your records in order to receive, of course, to certify the transactions that you actually already have in your organization. So audit there's no time to start. It's as long as you have transactions for a period of maybe 1 year, you should be able to invite in an auditor or an accounting firm to be able to run an audit for you, and also to give you a true and fair value of what is going on in your organization. So the earlier, the better. So if you run for 1 year, it would be advisable to have an auditor look at your financials and be able to give you a proper true and fair picture of what is going on in your organization.
Yeah, then we have Lynette, who has raised her hand. Lynette, you may ask your question, please.
Okay, 2 questions. So one,
Yes.
when I want to determine the value of my company, which books will I use to determine that value so that I can get the true value? And then number 2, in scouting for financing options, especially when you want to get an investor on board. I'm going to find that they really don't like looking at record keeping that has been done in Excel. Rather, they mostly prefer record keeping that has been done via software. That one sends most companies looking for accounting softwares for the record keeping. So the question now for that particular issue is why is it that they prefer the softwares more than even looking at Excel? When you mention that your record keeping in Excel, they tend to, you can even see the reaction on the face.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll answer the first question, in which you asked in regards to, first of all, why investors do not like records in Excel. Now, investors don't like records in Excel because in Excel there is no audit trail. So in accounting systems, when you enter a transaction and commit that transaction, the system also keeps a log of all the transactions that you have made. Therefore, it keeps security and it makes it very difficult for you to tamper with transactions once you have entered a transaction, and you can be able to get a drill down of what has happened for that particular transaction. Therefore, in as far as the records are concerned, they can be able to have a backward trace of exactly where the transactions came from and exactly who put them in the system. That is the first instance. The second instance is that accounting softwares usually produce financial statements automatically. So in Excel, if you put your debtors ledger, and you have your suppliers ledger, and you have your cash book, and you have your inventory, as well as your suppliers, all this will have to be combined manually to give you now the final accounts, from what is known as a trial balance to what is known as an income statement and a balance sheet. So that makes it, of course, very easy to make errors, very easy to tamper, very easy to be able to manipulate the transactions. So that is why they are not comfortable with Excel records, with you presenting your books of accounts in Excel. They prefer a system which allows them also to audit the quality of information you're putting into the system, as well as allows them to see the audit trail of what has gone on in the system without having too much work and without having to check so many documents at once. All right. Now, the books of accounts you need to maintain so that you can be able to produce the final account statements is you need to produce, you need to have all the ledgers, this being the sales, purchase, cash book, inventory, as well as the nominal ledger. Now, what happens is that all the 5 ledgers, this being the sales, the cash book, the debtors, and the creditors, all report to the nominal ledger, which is a summary of all the books of accounts. And then now from the nominal ledger, you produce what is known as a trial balance, which then produces now the financial income statement as well as the balance sheet. So all these books of accounts that are listed here need to be maintained in order for you to have the final books of accounts, the final accounts, which can be looked at, of course, by an investor, or can be looked at by an auditor or by an accountant. So all the books of accounts that I have listed here, debtors, suppliers ledger, cash book, stocks ledger, and the debtors ledger have to be maintained so that you can produce your final account. I hope that answers your question.
Does that mean that is how I'll determine the value of my company?
Yes. From the general ledger, when all these books are combined and summarized in the general ledger, from the general ledger is where now you will get the value of the company, this being the profit and loss, the balance sheet, which gives you the capital assets and the liability, which in turn gives you the true value of the company.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. If you are through with that, I can move on to the next slide.
Yes, please.
Okay. 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 So the next slide deals with how does record keeping help my small business be tax compliant? All right. So what happens is that within the system, record keeping allows you to maintain a record of the sales, which is basically in which you derive a tax called VAT. It also allows you to maintain the profit and loss, which you derive corporate tax. And it also allows you to maintain, we also have a payroll tax, which is known as pay as you earn, as well as turnover tax if you are not registered for VAT. All right. So all these are revenue related taxes in which the KRA needs you to file on a monthly basis. All right. So tax is done on a self-assessment, meaning that you go to the KRA portal and you declare your own taxes and you declare your VAT. All right. So in record keeping, you're able to defend the assessments that you make. If you don't have records of that assessment and you're just making file returns based on no information or no records, KRA may request to audit your business, and they may request to see the records of all the sales or all the invoices or all the receipts that you have received in a given period. All right. If you have no records, you cannot be able to defend what taxes you have paid or what taxes you have claimed. All right. Also note, a KRA audit is a random exercise. They may just send you a letter and tell you, please, we are coming for an audit. We require these records from this period to this period. So record keeping is a very important aspect of your business. Even though you do not have an accounting system, make sure you can support anything that you put on a tax portal, on the iTax portal. Yeah, regardless of what it is, make sure you have copies of all the invoices, this being the supplier invoices, this being the customer invoices, or any form of trading invoice, or if you just give receipts, keep copies of those receipts, because that will definitely, somewhere down the line, KRA may decide to ask you for this documentation. So record keeping enables you to defend and enables you also to have confidence when you're doing your tax return. All right. It doesn't matter what tax return you do. I think right now, if you have not reached the threshold for VAT, they will require you to do a tax on your gross profits, which is known as turnover tax. So definitely all those records will be required in order to generate your tax position, which you will submit to KRA. All right. So please ensure that all the records that you do in your business, every information, every sale, every purchase is recorded in somewhere. Doesn't have to be a very hi-fi ledger. It can be a simple exercise book, but make sure that exercise book is well kept and well documented. Of course, I have heard most of you want to move to digital systems. Digital systems allow you to generate these reports very simply at a click of a button. But before you reach there, definitely make sure that you record them. So in terms of tax compliance, in terms of record keeping, it helps you keep a record which you can refer back to in case you have a KRA audit or you need to defend your tax position. Any questions?
It seems we are good. You may proceed.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we are okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. How do I keep customer payment records? Basically, all the payment records are basically receipts. Yeah. So when you do raise an invoice, you need to record any payment that any money received in a receipt book. All right. So all this receipt, all the cash that comes in the receipt needs to be recorded somewhere in an Excel worksheet, or as I said, a normal exercise book. And you need to keep a record of that receipt book in your organization. So the reason you do this is basically in case you have a customer who is paying you or who is not paying you in advance, or who is not paying you in cash. Yeah. At some point, you may be just selling, and not collecting the money. You may be raising invoices and not receiving the receipts. Then the customer may come back and ask you, how much do I owe you? So you need to record all the payments in a receipt book. Make sure you have a simple receipt book whereby you record all the customer name, the amount, and the date, and the service which they are paying for. So all that needs to be recorded in a receipt book manually, or kept in an Excel workbook, or keyed in an Excel workbook somewhere. And earlier I had mentioned the sales ledger. So that is in essence what is known as a sales ledger, which keeps both the receipts as well as invoices that have been raised to the customers. All right. Any questions?
So Alvin, in this case, which books does one buy? Is it the cash book, the receipt book only to maintain customers' records?
Okay. Now you can buy to maintain the customer records. You can buy both the receipt book as well as the customer's ledger, or an exercise book whereby all the customer transactions, both the invoices and the payments, are recorded. That will maintain a full record of the customer in case you need to refer back. But the receipt book will maintain only the monies that you have received from the customers and not the invoice number. So in this case, you need to maintain both of them. All right.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I think this is the same case, same question, how to maintain customer records. I think this same way, a receipt book to record all the receipts and a sales book to record all the sales and invoices that have been done. So this will, in essence, keep a full record of all your customer transactions. All right. But this is just one aspect of your business, although it's a very important aspect. But I reiterate again, receipt books and sales books need to be maintained so that you can be able to have a clear record of how much sales you have made vis-a-vis how much payments you have received. And of course, that will be able to give you a position of how much is owed to you by your customers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So the next question is how to manage your customer debts. All right. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure you have a policy whereby you send out invoices immediately a job is complete. So this ensures that there is no delay between the time you actually request for the money that is owed to you. So once a job or service is complete, ensure that the invoice has been sent out. The next thing is clearly state the payment options. All right. In case they're supposed to give you 50% in advance and 50% after that, make sure that it's clearly recorded in the invoice so that there is never a dispute with the customer in terms of when or how much they should pay you. They should be able to get that information from the invoice directly, and you should be able to refer to that invoice as evidence of what you had initially agreed. All right. Always state the payment terms. If it is 15 days credit, make sure that is put in the invoice very clearly and make sure that is honored. If they do not honor that, you need to escalate that and tell them, look, we gave you an invoice and we agreed on this payment terms. Make sure this has been paid. Another thing is keep regular contact with your customers. All right, regardless of whether they owe you or they do not owe you, maintain a rapport with your customers and always talk to them so that it will be easier for you to request payments. All right. Another thing you need to do is maintain what the customer ledger, which I have said annually previously, because what happens is that most customers, if they want to delay payment, they tell you, send me a statement. All right. A statement basically is the outstanding invoice amount vis-a-vis any payments they have made against that invoice. So such records need to be maintained in your company. Even though they are written down, you need to show them, I gave you invoice number 001 on this date, and this was the amount. You made a payment via M-Pesa. M-Pesa referenced this. This was the amount that you paid. We also gave you another invoice, 002, amounting to X amount, and this is the amount we received from you. So when you have that, you can be able to give them a clear balance of how much you owe them, how much is owed to you. And it makes it very easy for you to collect. And it makes it also the customer aware that you do know exactly what is going on in your organization. All right. Any questions?
Okay, I was kindly requesting if you had those books so that you can show us a sample, if it's possible.
Okay. So what I can do? Okay, what I can do is maybe what I'll do is
Kinaniramba huku, I'm not getting some.
Okay. Okay, pole. So if you just go, in fact, they're readily available on. If you just Google, for example, you just say sample sales ledger. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it will give you samples of how you can maintain your sales ledgers. Yeah, for example,
Oh,
this. Yeah, so it's a very
okay.
simple. It's a very simple and easy to follow sheet. All right,
Oh, all right.
nothing complex. Yeah, nothing complex.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay.
We have a question from Alvin. We have a question from Thomas. I'll allow him to ask his question, and then we
Yes.
have the.
Hello, I lost you.
Yeah, so Thomas, you may ask your question. Then I will read the question on the chat.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you get me?
Yes, we
you can hear you, Thomas.
Yes. When do we use petty cash?
Okay. Okay. Petty cash is part of the cash book ledger. Petty cash is cash that is maintained in the company for expenses that are used for running the business. Okay. So, for example, in a company or any organization, you do not need to keep going to the bank to pay, for example, for repairs and maintenance in the office, small repairs and maintenance. Maybe you need to give your staff some fare. Maybe you need to help with maybe you need to buy office supplies. So all that is maintained in petty cash. So it is a cash balance maintained in the organization to take care of expenses that are not beyond a certain threshold. Like now, for example, in your organization, maybe you need to repair a computer within the office, and the amount is maybe 2,000 shillings. You do not need to write a check. You can simply withdraw that cash from your petty cash account and give it to the supplier, of course, based on an invoice that they give you. So that is how you use petty cash. Petty cash is cash that is used to handle petty expenses or small expenses within the office. It is drawn from the bank as cash and maintained by either the office administrator or any other admin staff or even the owner to take care of small office expenses within the organization. Okay.
Is it also falling under record keeping?
Definitely, petty cash is also kept under record keeping under the cash book module, because petty cash falls under cash and bank balances and under the cash book.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Alvin, I have a question on the chat, and Gideon is asking, can you have your credit book?
Yeah.
I think he meant different from sales. Can you have your credit book different from sales?
Credit book different from sales. You
Yeah,
can
like
choose to maintain
how you maintain those two records, credit and sales. So do you need to separate the two? Gideon, we hope I hope we got your question right. Gideon, you may also, yeah, feel free to ask your question.
Okay.
Oh, okay, my question is, are you able to, is it, okay, the two books, credit and sales, can it be separated, or it's a one book?
One book, okay. Okay. Now, credit, sales happen, okay, let me start. Sales happens in two ways. You can either have cash sales for people who have paid you for the services immediately. All right. That you can maintain as a sales book, whereby you have all the cash sales recorded there. Credit sales are the ones that happen. For example, they have you have given a service and you have sent out an invoice and you are waiting payment. So that is what is known as a credit book. You can maintain them in one because all of them are sales. It's just that on the paid column, you will not put any figure as being paid. So that particular invoice will remain as outstanding. So you can maintain them in one book, If you want to maintain them in separate books, you can also do that. Although for clarity purposes, to get your total sales, it is best to maintain them in one book. And under the payments received, under the column that shows the monies that have been received, you leave the credit sales as blank so that all those invoices can be treated as outstanding. Okay.
Okay. What about for instance, a supplier supply me some goods on credit? Is it the same?
So that goes under the purchases ledger, whereby now you maintain your supplier and supplier balances. So that is credit suppliers. So for that is a different sheet which maintains now balances for the suppliers separately. So for the suppliers and the customers, of course, will be maintained in two different ledgers. So the purchases ledger will be the same as the sales ledger, in the sense that you will have a record of the transaction that you have received the invoice from the supplier, and under the column for paid, you will either leave it as blank or put in an amount that shows the invoice has been paid. Okay, but suppliers and customers should always be kept separate. All the sales should be maintained in one sheet, and all the purchases should be maintained in a separate sheet.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Peter. Ama. No, please. I can clarify practically if you don't want.
No. I've understood it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Alvin. I have a question from Jacqueline. She asked, like me, who's in agriculture business, is there a need for me to have farm record book apart from cash, sale, and ledger books?
Okay. Now, in the case of agriculture, a farm record book would okay. As far as accounting is concerned, you do not need any other book, but that does not mean you cannot maintain a separate record of maybe things like farm inputs and all other farming related records that you need to keep. But in as far as accounting is concerned, you do not need any other extra book other than the ones I have stipulated in the Excel sheet.
We are good, Alvin. You can continue.
Okay. All right. All right. So the next question is, what records do I need to keep for my business to identify whether I'm making losses, making profits or losses? Yeah. So of course, to maintain, to know whether your business is making money, you need to maintain all the sales ledger. You need to maintain the purchases or expense ledger. This will keep track of the expenses, and also the stock ledgers, which will maintain the stock, the buying price of the stocks. All right. Profit is basically sales less expenses. So when you sell an item, hello.
Yes,
hello,
we can hear you, Alvin. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
All right. So the profit, the income statement is mainly divided into two. Basically, it is divided into the income part, whereby you record all your sales. Yeah. It is also maintained. It also has a section which is known as cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold basically is the value of the inventory you have sold. So for example, nimenunua kiatu nimeinunua 500. All right. I will sell that shoe at 1,000 bob. All right. So my sales price is 1,000 shillings, but the cost at which I bought that goods is 500 shillings. Okay. That gives me what is known as a gross profit. That is profit before you have put in operational expenses. Now, operational expenses are any expense that you have incurred outside trying to sell that particular product. So for example, Biashara itahitaji maybe bus fare. The business will need the salaries for the employees. The business will need different other expenses, electricity, it will need rent, it will need light. So all that will come under the operating expenses. Yeah. And now the gross profit less the operating expenses will give you what is known as the profit or loss of that particular company. So basically, in a nutshell, you need to maintain a ledger for all your expenses, for all your sales, as well as the cost at which you have sold, you have bought those goods at, so that you can be able to generate the gross profit. All right. So what we can do is that when we go to the, I don't know whether I can open, let me open a small Excel worksheet so that I can illustrate this further. Okay. So in terms, I have bought maybe I bought a shoe. A shoe is my stock at 1,000 shillings. Okay. The cost of this shoe, purchase price, is 400 shillings. Okay. Then I also have expenses. I have rent. I have water. I have electricity. I also have salaries. Okay, or any other expense that you have. Okay. So my revenue, if I sell 5 of these shoes, my price will be, my sales will be 5,000 shillings. But I have bought those shoes at 400 shillings. So that will be the same as here. All right. So my gross profit will be 500 minus what I bought the shoe at. Is that understood so far?
Yes.
Hello? Is that understood so far? Then I come with
Yes.
my rent. Then I come with my rent. My rent is 300. Electricity, my water is 250. My electricity is maybe 1,000, and my salaries are 500. Okay. So all this, if I look at this, my total expenses are this. Okay. So my profit for this period, my profit for this period will be all my gross profits minus my total expenses. So in this case, I made a profit of 950. Yeah. If this is more, I say, for example, that is 3,000. Sorry. Sorry. If I paid salaries maybe of 2,500, I will have made a loss of 1,050. Okay. So is that that is how you determine the gross profit. So to do this, you need to maintain your sales ledger here. In this case, and then here you need to maintain also your inventory, your stocks ledger. And to do this, and to maintain all these expenses, you need to do your purchase ledger. Okay. So you maintain your sales, you maintain your stocks. This is the purchase price of all the inventory you have bought, which I've said I bought 5 shoes and I've sold 5 shoes. And then the gross profit will be the sales minus the purchase price of the items, which equates to 3,000. Okay. This will then now net off against all the expenses that you have. Okay. So going back to our question here, that is how you will be able to maintain your, to identify if you're making losses or you're making profit. Okay.
Yeah, Alvin, while you're at that, I have another question from Gideon. He's asking, how
Yes.
can you determine your profit in services provided?
Okay, very good question.
Yeah.
Okay. So services provided, if you're using a service model, I'll go back to my Excel worksheet. Where is it? Let me go back to my Excel worksheet. Here it is. Okay. So in this case, you will not have a physical product. Yeah. So in order to do whatever service you did, yeah. Let me just insert here another sheet. Okay. So you have sold, maybe you have sold consultancy at 5,000. You have a customer who has bought consultancy at 5,000 shillings. Okay. So here your cost of sales will be maybe several things. Yeah. It may be the stationery you used for the consultancy, 200. It may be the fuel that you used or the bus fare that you used to reach the site. So all these are related, are expenses that are related to that particular consultancy sale. That is what we are calling cost of sales. Okay. So in this case, also it may be any facilitation that you made. Maybe you bought lunch for somebody who was there, or maybe even you used you maybe facilitated, or you maybe used other services, digital services, to be able to generate maybe the invoice that you had, okay, at 400 shillings. All right. So all these expenses that are related to this sale will relate to the cost of sale. So in this case, you will not need any inventory, but you will need the gross profit here. Okay. That minus that. Okay. So what will be different here is that there will not be a physical inventory purchase price, but there will be cost of sales of any other things, that any other facilitation costs that you have incurred in order to support that particular piece of business. And then now the general operating expenses come in, and finally you have your profit or loss. Okay. Is that understood?
Gideon, are you good?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
clear.
Clear. Okay.
Alvin, I have a question here, but I'm sure you will address this in your subsequent slides.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning. Joined late, but I'm enjoying the session. My query is: are there affordable software for small business, especially agribusiness? I'm sure you'll be addressing that, and
Yeah,
that's why
I'll
we're
address
having.
that.
Yes.
I will address that in the subsequent slide. Okay. Right. Okay. So record keeping for small businesses. Basically, we are going to keep on reiterating this because the principle is the same. All you need to do is maintain, of course, the different books of accounts. Not necessarily, they don't have to be, as I said, start from where you are. Do not go buy very expensive books. Just buy a normal exercise book and begin from recording your transactions there. So the reason we do this is so that we can get into the habit and culture of recording everything that goes into your organization. All right. So of course, we know that not everybody is an accountant, but you can start from where you are and then build yourself up, maybe until you get a proper accountant to certify your accounts. All right. So simple, maintain your core ledgers of account, customer ledger, suppliers, and stock ledger. Open a bank account. Of course, separate personal cash from business cash, which I know as a business owner, that can be a bit difficult, but try and maintain an account whereby your cash is separate from the business cash, all right? Because the money you have does not necessarily belong to you. It belongs to the business. You are working for the business, so you are an employee of the particular business, okay? Record all business-related transactions in a clear and readable and retrievable format. So what this does is that you will always have a record to go back to in case there is a dispute with a customer or there is a dispute with a supplier. So all those books of accounts help you do that. And we don't have, as I reiterate again, you don't have to buy a complex book. Use a simple book of accounts until you're able now to transition to a digital system. All right. Okay. So the next slide, how important is electronic bookkeeping and recording? So this is a very important facet because now we are transitioning from manual accounting, or rather we have already transitioned. And that is why a very good question from a young lady, I don't quite remember the name, who said that investors and banks do not want to see manual Excel sheets and you carrying the different exercise books to them. Definitely, they will not take your business seriously. And this is because of several factors. Of course, your business, the accounts and the records will be more accurate. Okay. So when you enter a figure in an accounting system, changing it, basically, you will have to go through a process, and that process will be recorded. So the accuracy and the integrity of the data you're putting in will be tested, will have already been tested, and will have already been checked. Okay. Secondly, from an accounting system, I have told you need to buy 5 exercise books. All right. So in this case, you don't need to buy those 5 exercise books. Once you have a system, everything you put into the sales ledger will automatically be updated to the general ledger, automatically be updated to inventory, automatically be updated to the relevant accounts. So it will be so easy for you to generate the final statements, the final profit and loss, the final balance sheet, as well as any position that you may want to retrieve from your inventory. Yeah. Same case scenario, it will be easy to generate reports, this being the profit and loss, this being the balance sheet, as well as the inventory value report, which is very important. All right. It will be easy to comply with the tax authorities. So what happens with the inventory, with the accounting systems is that you'll find that from the system itself, you can be able to generate a tax report. So you do not need to have anybody compiling a tax report manually. Directly from the system, you'll be able to generate that. Okay. Of course, as I said earlier, it is easier to access credit with automated systems. All right. So we had we have a discussion right now, I think, with one of the banks. I can't disclose who wants to take on our financial product as part of their offering when they meet SMEs. All right, MSMEs. So they want to make sure that all the MSMEs are on a digital accounting system, so that they can directly access their books and they can be able to recommend credit. They can be able to recommend funding for those particular ventures. So this is the reason why everybody is moving to electronic automated systems. All right. Any questions on that slide?
I have a question from Lydia, and she's asking, how can you separate personal cash from business cash when you only have that business as the source of income?
Okay, give yourself a salary. Yeah. Give yourself a salary. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is how you separate. There is no other way. Well, I know it's not easy. It becomes a bit tricky, but I can tell you one thing: to separate both, give yourself a salary. This is how much I earn from the business. The rest of the cash remains in the business. Okay. So that is how you can easily separate your own cash from the money that you have in the business. Okay. All right.
Lydia, do you want to have a follow-up question on how you do that? And Alvin, you talked about a bank account. Maybe you'd mention cases where we use M-Pesa, because a number of us maybe use, we have our M-Pesa account, till number, pay bill.
Yes,
how
yes,
you
yes.
can use that to separate?
All right. M-Pesa accounts and pay bill accounts are essentially treated as bank accounts because they fall under what is known as cash and cash equivalent. That means any cash, any amount that equates or is equal to cash. All right. So they are not also, they do not also belong to the owner, they belong to the business. All right. So any cash that is held in the M-Pesa account will be treated, of course, as a bank account within a cash book account or a bank account if you are using a system. If you're using manual, it will be treated as a cash book account.
Okay, I have Lynette who has raised her hand. I'll allow her to ask her question. Lynette, please.
Okay, Alvin, when you say the only way to separate between a company, business account and personal is to get a salary, then you find a situation where most of the businesses, when they start, someone may not even be in a position to get themselves a salary because their main goal is to first make sure the business is surviving for a period of time. So when they take out money from the business account for their personal use, that's kind of record keeping. So how does that go?
Okay. Now, this is I'm taking it a bit further. Now, in the financial in the ledger books, in the nominal ledger, we have an account that is known as owner's drawings. Yeah, that means this is money that you have taken from the business, but you are treated as a creditor. Okay. All right. So you have picked money from the business. You're the owner, yes, but you have picked money from the business. Therefore, you are a creditor. So what happens is that in the books of accounts, you can record that as an outstanding debt to the company from yourself. All right. So in that case, you do not need to treat yourself as an owner. It just shows that yes, you do not need to give yourself a salary. It just shows, yes, I have taken money from the main bank account and I've used it maybe to sort out some personal bills, but I have a record of that essentially, as the business grows, I'm supposed to refund that money back to the business. That is how you separate the cash. If you don't want to do a salary, you maintain an account that is known as owner's drawings, whereby you will put that money, you will record that money as drawings from the company by the owner himself. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Alvin. Because of time, maybe I'll request you go through your presentation and then we can take the last set of questions.
All right. So that's fine. So moving to the next slide, I will now introduce you to our electronic business system that is known as Zoho. Zoho basically is an online accounting system that manages your finances and automates your business workflows. It helps you work collectively and allows you to maintain the different books of accounts automatically, creating entries for you. It also generates financial statements at the click of a button. All right. So let me just take you through the system very briefly in the interest of time. Allow me to put this up. 1 minute. Allow me to put this up now. Got it. Okay. Now this is Zoho Books. The package that we have, a very simple package whereby it allows you to maintain your stocks under the items. All right. You have all the stocks ledgers, the stock ledger here, whereby it shows you the quantity on hand and the pieces. All right. And then here you have the banking module where you maintain your accounts. And as you can see, one of the accounts is M-Pesa, another is petty cash, and another is a bank account. So it keeps all these books of accounts in one place, and it also maintains the sales ledger from which you maintain your customer and customer balances. So here you'll be able to see how much a customer is owed. And when you click on the customer here, you can be able to generate a statement directly from the system, whereby it will show you, let me just say this here. Yeah, it will be able to show you how many invoices that you have raised and when it is due, and any payments that have been made, thereby maintaining your sales ledger directly in the system. All right. So when you generate a statement like this for your customer, definitely the disputes will be few and far between. All right. You'll also be able to do your quotations from the system, your invoices from the system directly. And once the invoice is done, it also gives you a due date and also shows the outstanding as well as the paid invoices. On the flip side, the system also has a purchase module whereby you maintain all the vendors. And these vendors are anybody who provides services for you. And you can also be able to raise bills that they have given you. And same case scenario, you can also be able to have a statement for your vendors that shows all the records that have been generated from the particular vendor, the bill and when it is due, and how much has been paid by the particular vendor. All right. Under the accountant module, the system will allow you to do the manual journals and do any budgets or any financial transactions or any journals that you may need to do. Under the reports, the system will give you all the final reports, this being the profit and loss, which you saw earlier, this being the sales, the cost of goods, and then basically showing all the operating expenses. Yeah, you'll also be able to get a balance sheet directly from the system that will give you the capital assets and liabilities or the business worth. Yeah, and here also you'll be able to have what is known as an aging summary that shows how much your customer owes you and how old that debt is. All right. So basically, while tracking your cash flow, you can be able to forecast and you can be able to see how much each and every data is owed to you. And on the flip side, you can also be able to get that from the aging summary from the accounts payable. Okay. So this is just a small brief view of the system. You can engage with us further if you need a demonstration. I'm sure the facilitator Biashara Smart can be able to reach out to us. If you need a more detailed demo, we can be able to organize that. And we can also be able to help you with the different packages that we have. All these packages that we have may not be, we have packages for as little as even a free package based on the number of transactions, moving all the way to a paid version. So you do not need to start from the paid version. You can start from the free version, and as your business grows, you can upgrade to the paid versions. All right. So all in all, thank you very much, and thank you for any questions that have been that need to be asked. I think I'll take more questions, any question that you may have in regards to the accounting system before we close, and then I'll take you briefly to who Zoho is as a company, and then we shall close. I shall be able to conclude my session. Any questions in general?
Yeah, I can read a question from the chat from David. If I use Zoho Business Software app, can I tell investors that my business is audited after 1 year ends? That is just to ask whether they can use the generated reports with investors or financiers.
Okay. What the system will do is that it will facilitate and make the audit easier for any auditor who will come. Because if the investor asks for audited accounts, that means they will have to go through as an accountant who has an audit license. All right. So the system will generate the financial statements. So the auditor will have to come back and check what the system has generated and certify them as audited. But what you generate from the system can serve as a baseline in which you can show investors that you actually have an electronic accounting management system within the organization. If they choose to take that can also be fine. But if they choose to take it a step further and ask for an audit, then you may need to have to engage an auditor or an accountant. I think there was an accountant in the group, or an accountant who will be able to do the audit process for you and certify what you have put in the accounting system.
Yeah, then I have a question from Jacqueline. What's the difference between bank statements and bank reconciliation? I think with reference to your platform. And then Thomas is asking, what is Zoho in full and the meaning? and then,
Okay.
Alvin or your
Yeah.
colleague could share the link to the app. Someone is asking any link to the app.
Yes, I think that will be shared by Zoe. Now, I'll answer the first question. A bank statement basically shows the transactions that have happened within a particular bank that is generated from a bank system, from the banking system. This is from the bank side. Now, a bank reconciliation is from your side, from the recorded transactions that you have put. And what that means is that you will have to match what is in the bank vis-a-vis what you have recorded in your books of account. That is what is known as a bank reconciliation. Secondly, the bank reconciliation, the bank statement will have things like bank charges, which you will need to write back into your accounting system, or you'll need to record into your cash book. So a bank reconciliation is basically matching what is in the physical bank with what you have in your books of accounts. Okay? And a bank statement is the report that comes from the bank showing all the transactions that you have in your account. That is the difference between the two.
Then I have Madeleine, who has raised her hand, so I'll allow her to ask her question.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
I've used Zoho for the free version for the last 3 years, and I really appreciate the service it's giving me. But then recently I had the option to do a multi-currency invoice.
Yes.
Because it's usually set on default Kenya shillings, but I wanted to do and to invoice a client in USD. How am I supposed to change that in the system, please?
Now, unfortunately, you will have to upgrade to a paid version to be able to do that. The free version basically caters for any business that is running. Yes, unfortunately. If you want additional features, you will have to upgrade. But the good thing is that we have given you 2 years for free. So I think it would be good to, if your business has grown to a point whereby you're trading internationally, definitely the system is asking for you to upgrade. So unfortunately, you will have to use the paid version for multi-currency.
With this economy, thank you.
Our business is demanding for an upgrade. Eh?
The business has asked, unfortunately.
Yes, yes. And then Alvin, for those who are using your app and they need support, there's a way they can get support. Yes,
support within also applications is free. So once you're onboarded in any Zoho platform, and it doesn't matter even if you're using free, I think Zoe will send an email. We have a specific support email for Kenyan customers, which is known as ke-support@zohocorp.com. I think that you can request Zoe to share that with you, and then you'll be able to get support on your product. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Alvin. Because of time, I think I would like to you to proceed. You said you have one more.
Okay. I have one more slide just to take you through. Just one more slide to take you through who Zoho is, and then we can close. If you need to engage further, we don't have a problem. I think Biashara Smart can get your contacts and share with us, and we can be able to engage further. This doesn't have to end today. All right. So Zoho is a privately held company with 1 billion revenue, which has been running for 26 years with 12,000 employees. All right. Worldwide. So we are not a company that has just started recently. Yeah. We have 100 million users and 640K customers around the world with 50 plus applications. So basically we have a business operating system for every need. All right. We have different apps. We have apps for platforms and bundles for each and every market. We have small to medium, we have large, and we have also enterprise. All right. So in the Kenya customers, these are some of our Kenyan customers who are currently running our products, and feel free to benchmark if you need to do so. All right. So with that, thank you very much for engaging me, and we hope to engage further. This is a very good forum, and I think it's a very healthy discussion of how businesses can be able to digitize. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alvin. That was a brilliant conversation. Yeah, we are past time and didn't feel like it. From Biashara Africa, and thanks, Alvin, for adding the smart. So we are Biashara Africa, but again, we are smart.
I know. I can see
Yes,
that.
yes. Yeah. So always, and please mute yourself, please, if you're not talking. So we always get reliable service providers, and that's why we picked Zoho for this. They have they have a record, and they are renowned. So for some of us who are selling or operating their businesses within the county or several counties, or expanding to the entire country, or going beyond the country, like the case of Lydia, we believe Zoho will serve you. So we'll share details on how you can sign up. I can see a couple of you asking for the contact, the link to the app. So we'll share that. It's Zoho Books. If you check, you'll also get it. So, and we'll keep supporting you to maintain this. I also liked what Alvin said, that even if you're not ready to start with the app, but I would really encourage the app, because you can start with the free version, learn how it's done, then after a few months, then upgrade. So I really encourage, it makes your work easier than using the books, but whichever way, just get started, because you can even start with the books. So thank you so much, Zoho team. And Zoho team, you have a gift for 5 people. Zoe, is that the case?
Yes, we have a gift for 5 people, and I know we didn't quite iron out how we were going to do it, but then it was.
Yeah. So Alvin has shared very helpful information. None of us has an excuse not to start a record and bookkeeping today. He has made it so simple and very easy. So I'm going to ask questions relating to the same, and the first person to put it on the chat, the correct answer, and Alvin will be our moderator for that. Then the people will get the reward. So we need 5 winners. So we'll start with the books of accounts. So Alvin talked about several books of account one needs to keep. So I need 4 people to list the ledgers or the books he talked about. There were 4, so you can mention one. So we'll have 4 winners there.
Hello.
Please mute yourself.
Yeah, I'm Eunice.
Oh, Eunice, you want to answer? We would like it put on the chat.
I want to answer the book of accounts. Yes, one.
Yes.
We have talked about the supplier ledger.
Yes.
And debitors ledger, cash book, stock ledger. Yeah, those are 4.
Wow, I'm really impressed, and it's good you pushed through. Entrepreneurs have to be like that. Alvin, what do you say? Is she our winner for the day?
She is our winner for the day.
Okay, perfect. So we have Eunice, and that's Eunice. Give me your second name.
Eunice Mukai Phyllis.
Mukai. Okay, so
yeah,
we reach out to you. Where are you based, Eunice?
I'm based in Makueni. I'm working with the poultry value chain, whereby I'm working with the small order farmers.
That's fine, Eunice. Next time, please come early so that you pitch your business.
Thank you.
All right. So now Alvin also talked about how to manage customer records, and he mentioned 2 records that you need to keep. Which are these 2 records? Which are these 2 records? You can raise your hand or put it on the chat. The first person to do that. Okay, I can see Mercy Ledger. He mentioned 2. Okay, so
Sales and
Mercy,
purchases.
yes.
Sales and
Sales
purchases.
and purchase, sales and debt. Okay, so Alvin, you'll moderate this for us. So we have Gideon, sales and purchase, Christine, sales and debt, purchase records. So the first person to post the correct answer.
Okay, I think Gideon got the sales. Actually, it was sales and receipts, but sales and debt. Okay, yes, you can. So I think the first person to post was Gideon. I think Gideon is fine. You can give him a gift for having mentioned the sales. Christine, you also mentioned sales. That is fine. Debtors records. Yes, you can also give them a gift, and you can also give Noel a gift. I think those are the 3. If I'm not wrong.
Okay, so we have all the people we need. We have 5 gifts. So we have Gideon. Yeah,
Gideon,
we have Gideon.
Gideon and Gideon Kimei, Christine Morioki, and Alice, and Okoth, Obara, and Noel.
Obara and Noel. Noel, what is your second name? Noel, what is your second name?
Hey everyone.